Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle. We talk all things life, love, spirituality, law of attraction, and all of that juicy goodness. I am an intuitive reader, a manifesting coach, a Reiki practitioner, and a life path guide and mentor here to help you along your awakening journey so that you can co-create the life of your dreams. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can transform your reality. And we all know that anytime we want to change our external reality, we have to go inward. We have to look at ourselves and how we're being, how we're feeling, what are we doing, what's our vibe like? But it goes so much deeper than that. And I have a whiteboard next to me that I'm going to share a little drawing that I created. And I want to teach on this topic because this is what will really change your life. Your manifestations will start to flood into your life because you will start to be different. You'll be more awakened. You'll see why you're doing what you're doing, why you're not doing what you should be doing, why you keep attracting the same people over and over and over again, the same patterns. We have to pop out of those costumes that were, formed in childhood from different situations, bullying, abuse, child abuse, sexual abuse, manipulation. There's so many ways that our soul can kind of be crushed and manipulated and abused and neglected. And unfortunately, when we go through these things, our soul jumps into these bodies and says, hey, I want to learn forgiveness. I want to learn compassion. So bring me a situation that I'll have to forgive. Bring me a situation where I'm going to have compassion for somebody else. And for me, those two things I believe are what my soul came here to learn: forgiveness and compassion. Losing my daughter taught me the most immense lesson about how to have compassion for others, because others might be going through something so terrible as well, and we don't even know it. Maybe they're not talking about it. And then with forgiveness, I dealt with a ton of different kinds of abuse in childhood, all types: neglect, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, a little bit of bullying, loneliness, feeling like I don't belong here. So when we see that, wow, I chose to go through all that pain to then forgive the people that did it to me, to forgive my abusers, to forgive the people who didn't know what they were doing. They were acting from that level of consciousness that they were at. And I do believe that they signed up to do it to me, to help me grow, to help me learn these lessons. And I don't know about you guys, but when we complete a pattern and we have ego deaths and we move out of certain things, I feel this immense sense of empowerment and happiness. And it's like better than food. It's better than sex. It's better than money. It's better than all those things. It's a soul fulfillment. Like, I did it. I came out of something that I had been stuck in for years, and I feel so proud of myself. And it's almost like that your soul came here to do that one thing. And when you do it, it's just this like, I won the game. And then you get to continue life and maybe help others through it too. So what I want to talk about transforming your life and being able to manifest more things is we have to go inward, right? We first have to, I'm going to move this over just a little bit. We first have to identify the costumes that we're in, right? There's shame, there's greed, there's jealousy, there's being a liar, being a manipulator. And when I think of the word liar and manipulator, I think of maybe maybe you're interested in a girl, right? Say you're a guy watching this video and you're interested in a girl and you really want to ask her out, or you're dating her. You're almost like lying and portraying yourself a certain way that's not really yourself. It's not your truest, highest version of who you are. So you're manipulating her. You're making her think a certain thing about you that's not real. And then the lies and the manipulation can go in a whole other direction where you're stealing and cheating and taking money from people. So those two words are heavy. So you take it as it resonates, however it applies to you in your life. If you're not always telling the truth about how you're feeling, maybe you're hiding your feelings from people, maybe you're lying about where you're going to deceive and betray somebody. We have to look at all these different costumes There's the ghoster. There's somebody who's super, super desperate and they'll say anything to get somebody to stay. You know, I've heard so many stories with my clients and how people from their past have lied and manipulated. And there was this one story about a wife, her husband was away on a trip with his buddies, and she's super jealous, super insecure, not loving herself, not knowing her worth, not trusting him. And she called him and lied and said that somebody got in a car accident just so that he would come home. And he found out later, obviously, the truth was going to come out that she was lying. But she was so desperate and clingy and needing to have that person there. But it was a costume. She was needing him to come home because there was some little girl inside of her that was feeling so neglected and abandoned. And she would do anything to not feel that way. Because as children, when we feel that way, when we feel abandoned or neglected, it is like death. You know, our caretakers are there to help us live, to care for us. And when they're not there, or when they're rejecting us or hurting us and we feel unloved, we don't feel safe, we as children literally felt like, I don't know, these are the only people I know. Oh my gosh, am I going to die now? Are they going to, you know, it's almost like leaving the tribe or being kicked out of a tribe back in the day. So we have to forgive these costumes that were created. They're not permanent. We don't have to stay in that pattern, in those behaviors. We don't need to be making those phone calls. We don't need to cling on to somebody and control them. And I am proof. I have done it in my life. I have been jealous. I've manipulated certain guys that I've dated. I've wanted to make them feel bad so that they'll stay home with me. Or maybe I play a little bit more of the victim, like my day wasn't so great, so that I get more attention. You know, I can see how that pattern has run through me. I was wearing a costume because I literally went through my childhood not getting any kind of attention or love. So now that I get close to somebody, it literally feels like death when they pull away, right? So if somebody has an anxious, avoidant type of personality, old me that was wearing that costume would freak out. And I felt like I was dying and I felt like I needed to cling and to do something or say one thing just to get them to stay, because that was my 7-year-old version of myself feeling so unsafe and unloved and just feeling like she was going to die. So understanding and learning about compassion and forgiveness, which are the lessons that we all come here to learn, I believe, we first have to understand, you know, why are people doing what they're doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And there's 11 archetypes of the types of soul missions that we can have. There's the seer, there's the way shower, there's the transformer, which is what I am. There's a guide, there's a messenger, there's a coder. There's so many different archetypes. And I am a transformer, which a transformer means you start out in a costume. You start out living your life with trauma and abuse and pain and suffering, and you're dealing with narcissism all around you. And then you see yourself in the costume because I have at the bottom, you awaken, you finally pop out, right? You awaken in this lifetime and you're like, holy cow, I've been living in a costume this whole time. This is not my truth. This is not who I am. I don't want to be jealous anymore. I don't want to say these things to hurt somebody else. I don't want to manipulate people. I want to be honest and I want to act in integrity and I want to respect myself. And you awaken to your truth. And when you awaken to your truth, this is what happens next. Okay, hopefully you can see all that. Yeah. Okay, so you're in this bubble on the left over here, right? You have shame, victim, greed, manipulator, abuser, chaser, you're clingy, you're a people pleaser, you're a runner, self-abandonment, you're doing all these things, right? So this is your current reality. So if we want to change our lives and if we want to manifest beautiful things, we are going to struggle to manifest in this bubble. This bubble right here is only a bubble that's going to attract more of what's in the bubble. So if what's in the bubble is victimhood, you're clingy, you're jealous, you're not being authentic with yourself, maybe you're reaching out to certain people and texting people that are not available, you know, you're going to keep attracting those same situations because you're still in the costume. So we have to pop out, right? We have to awaken, we have to see it, we have to journal it and write it down. And sometimes we need just one video like this to help us pop out of it. And this is what an ego death is. An ego death is you waking up one day and looking back at yourself and going, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Why did I do that? But then you forgive it and you move on. And there's so many different prayers and mantras and meditations that you can do to really clear the energy in your field. Because I drew a bubble because this is your energy field. This is what you're emanating out into the world. And whatever we are emanating, we are attracting more of. So if you're on my channel and you're trying to manifest, and if you're emanating any of this, you're just going to keep manifesting more of that. And maybe that's why the manifestations that you truly, truly want aren't showing up, because the universe is trying to get you to see that you're still in a costume. And maybe we erase, maybe you come out of victimhood, you come out of shame, you come out of greed, but maybe you're still manipulating in some way. Maybe you're done running, you're done chasing, you're done people pleasing. But maybe the self-abandonment, the clinginess, and the manipulation are still there. How do we know if we're still in these costumes? Well, you're going to look at the people that you're attracting. You're going to look at your coworkers. You're going to look at the bosses. You're going to look at your family members. You're going to look at what situations are being brought to you that are showing you more of who you are and who you are being. Because in a costume, we're playing out a role. It's a character that was created. It is not our authentic self, but it's okay to be in the costume because you have a history. You have a history of abuse. You have a history of neglect and abandonment. So every single one of these costumes is a 7, 8-year-old, 9-year-old version of you who's looking for love, who's looking to feel safe. And these specific costumes are going to pinpoint back to a time where something did happen to you and you didn't feel that way. And that 7, 8, and 9-year-old version of us, they need attention. They need love. They need compassion. You need to sit them down and say, hey, you're safe now. You don't need to feel this jealousy. You don't need to manipulate this person to get your needs met, because I'm going to meet your needs now. I'm going to hold you. I'm going to love you. And that is you clearing your field. You're clearing out that energy in those moments. You have to pay attention when you're triggered. That's when the universe is showing you that you're still in the costume. Because if you're not in the costume and you're over here and you're blank and you're free and you're manifesting all of your desires that are more of what you want to create instead of old, that's repeating. This is like no longer repeating. This is all new. When you're in the blank energy, you're just like kind of like chilling. You're neutral. You know, you see these things happening around you, but they're not connected to you anymore. You just don't feel it in your body. You don't feel triggered by it. You see somebody else in their grief, or you see somebody else lying, and you just have complete compassion and forgiveness for them because you understand that they're in their own bubble. And if they're not on this healing journey, if they're not watching videos like this, they're going to stay in that bubble. And that's a choice that you get to make as a romantic partner. Do you want to be intimate with somebody who's never going to see their bubble? And that's another part of manifestation. Like, are you trying to manifest somebody into your life who you know, like they're your special person, but they're still all here? You know, you get to make that choice for yourself. And by you trying and forcing and really wanting that person to come, you're not going to get that manifestation, because the universe is saying, hey, they're not a match to you. You are over here and you are not a match to that life anymore. You've popped out of the costume. So you're literally, when you're in this section, you are no longer attracting any of this. You might see it, but you're not attracting it to you. Okay. So when we're looking to call in things and when we're looking to manifest, we first have to take inventory of our reality and ask ourselves, am I in a costume? Am I still doing some sort of pattern that's not desirable and it's not attractive and it's just really not good for me? You know, look at your money story. Are you attracting money? Are you struggling to attract money? Look at your relationships. Think about how people are speaking to you. Are you connecting with people on social media who aren't cheering you on? They're not encouraging you. Maybe they're, you know, ghosting you or leaving you hanging all the time via text. That's a part of a costume. You are attracting somebody who's not treating you well. So it's almost like, oh, and I did want to write that down. Allowing poor treatment was a big one for me. I would just totally settle, and I would settle for the least, right? It was like the least, the tiniest little breadcrumb I thought was amazing. because that's how much I suffered in childhood, is that any little glimmer of love, even if it was just like a high, I took it as the person loved me. I was like, oh my God, I feel so good. They love me. But that's not love. I deserve so much more, and so do you. So I've learned that I settle. I don't always demand the most from somebody. I'll take the breadcrumb, and I had to pop out of that and say, no, I deserve more. So when somebody comes into my phone, maybe asking me out on a date or wanting to do something, they need to go above and beyond for me. And I'm going to hold that standard for myself. The minimum is not okay. And I was grateful because I was shown a man in my reality who was giving me the minimum. And I was so frustrated with it. So that was I was attracting people because I was still in my costume, but I didn't know I was in that costume of accepting poor treatment. I was just okay with it. And this also related in work. I would accept certain clients kind of messaging me last minute and demanding my time. And that's not really honoring me and my schedule. And I would just say, okay, sure. It's like, again, accepting poor treatment. I didn't understand it. I couldn't see myself clearly until I attracted these people to me, and it frustrated me. That was a sign that I was growing. And once we become aware and we see in our reality what's frustrating us, the triggers are going to be the biggest blessings. Because as soon as you feel a trigger, you're going to go back to your bubble and you're going to say, what costume am I in right now? What do I need to let go of? And then you pop yourself out, right? And now you're in this blank free space of being neutral and realizing that any of the decisions that you made when you were in this bubble, when you were in your past, please do not hold any kind of shame or guilt or how you treated somebody or how they treated you. We have to learn to just understand it. You don't have to forgive them, but you can understand it. You can understand why they did it. You can understand why you did it. And when you have this understanding, you take the higher self perspective and you look back on it and you're neutral. You're saying, I understand this. I don't need to forgive it, but I can understand it. And that's what I had to do with my abusers. I completely understand that I chose it. They're playing a role in my movie. They did it for me. They did it because they were in their own bubble of patterns and costumes, and somebody did it to them. And I have such compassion for them. So in the now, in this current moment, in this blank space, I am now going to attract more good because I'm not living in a costume anymore. I've taken the costume off. I'm blank. It's like you're naked. You're starting fresh. You're clear. There's no residue. I always like to think of Archangel Michael like taking a vacuum and just sucking all the energy, the bad energy off of your body and kind of like just giving you a nice little cleanse. And it's like you're out of it, that you popped out, you're clean, you're new, you're going to manifest new things now. And this is when your life begins to change. And then when you start to see something come up in your reality that you used to be triggered by, you're like, yes, I'm not triggered anymore. I'm good. I'm out of that bubble. I'm out of that costume, that wounding where I was like maybe self-conscious about something and not super, super confident. And your reality changes. So first, we come into these bodies, we come to learn lessons. Maybe you're a transformer, maybe you're a way shower, maybe you're a guide, maybe you're a teacher or a messenger. We all have these specific roles. And depending on who you are and your experiences, that's going to determine how you're meant to live this life and what you're really here to do. And when we're looking to manifest beautiful new things in our life, we have to be here. We have to be in that blank space so that the universe can move us to the highest path. And the universe can't move us when we're in a costume because the costume is moving us. So the steps to change your reality, to sum up this video, you take inventory of everything that's happening in your life right now that is unfavorable. You write it down. This person's treating me poorly. I keep attracting the same men or women that take advantage of me or don't honor me or ghost me. And you're writing all of this down. Maybe you keep attracting narcissists because you grew up with a narcissist. And I don't like to label people, but there's tendencies, there's certain characteristics that certain people have, and they can be narcissistic. So you take inventory. You also write down what is still triggering you. What behaviors and patterns are other people doing that affect you and piss you off, frustrate you, make you sad, make you feel neglected? Write it down. And then you go within and you say, what version of myself is holding on to a memory from the past and replaying the victimhood, or that version of you that's needing to be loved and paid attention to, and you're maybe desperately people pleasing all the time? And that's something not favorable in your reality. You see yourself overextending and always giving and buying gifts for everybody. Pull your tentacles back, as I like to say, and do it for yourself. Go back to that younger version of yourself and say, hey, you don't need to give so much to be loved. I love you now. And that's how we pop out of the costume, is we go back in time and we revise it. We change the past. We tell ourselves a different story. I got you now. I'm going to love you now. I'm not going to neglect you. I'm not going to abuse you, right? If time doesn't exist, we can go back and revise the past. So we can write a whole new story. And when you pop out, when you do that, when you pop into this energy, you're literally in your higher self looking back and finding compassion, forgiveness, understanding for all of it. And then you look at other people and you can then change their reality. You know, if you're in a workspace and other people are behaving this way and you're here, just you thinking about them being more here than there can change the dynamic. You can change other people and their patterns and their behaviors just by you thinking about them changing their patterns and behaviors. What you wish for others, you wish for yourself. What you wish for yourself, you wish for others. It's all energy. And if you're holding, I feel like somebody's holding a lot of hate towards themselves for past decisions. Maybe you're not forgiving yourself for something that you did. Remember, you didn't know any better. You were in a costume. You literally didn't know any better. And that's not who you are. It's literally a jacket that you are wearing. Now we're taking the jacket off and you're leaving it in the past. And when you're in this energy, it's impossible for you to attract more of that jacket, more people like that. Your past will not haunt you when you're in this energy. If you're in this energy walking around going, oh no, I don't want people to know that I did this, or I don't want people to find out, or whatever it is, you're going to attract more situations that'll kind of scare you a little bit, but they're not really going to hurt you. But you're staying in that energy. So we have to pop out and then we have to get over here and know that I understand why I did that. And that's not going to repeat itself and it's not going to keep happening. I'm not going to manifest more of that because I'm over here understanding why I did it in the first place. So if you want to change your reality, you have to take inventory. You have to go back to the younger version of yourself and forgive them for creating the costume because they didn't know any better. You didn't know any better. You let go of all those patterns and you start to create this new version of you, and you co-create this new reality that's filled with possibility, that is not filled with thoughts of your past, that is not filled with thoughts of ill will towards somebody else. You are constantly taking responsibility for who you are, what your costume did. You're letting it go and forgiving it. You're thanking it. You're taking the lesson and you're moving on. And you're creating something brand new in this blank space. Because in the blank space, guess what the universe can do? It can move you. If you're in a costume, it's going to be tougher. There's resistance. When you're in a costume, it's resistance. Just always remember that. So if you're on this channel to manifest, your resistance that's blocking the manifestation is 100% a pattern. It is a costume that you're still wearing that you can't see. And I created this video to help you see it, to help you become more aware, because I've done so many things in my life and I didn't know I was doing it. I was stuck in the pattern of accepting poor treatment, accepting breadcrumbs, letting somebody abuse me, letting somebody just have me whenever they wanted me. That is not okay, but I didn't know it until I became aware of the older version of me where I was sexually abused or where I was physically abused. And it was like my body was this vehicle for people to hurt me. And I started to see how I was allowing people to hurt me in my adult life, and it wasn't okay. And I had to wake up to it. So I'm hoping that this helps you. I'm hoping that you can find compassion and forgiveness for yourself, for any past decisions that you've made. And now you have the freedom, you have the joy, you have the happiness outside of that costume to now co-create the life of your dreams. So please, if you're suffering, if you need help with your patterns, book a session with me. I love coaching people through this. I love helping people awaken and become more aware of why they're doing what they're doing, why they're not doing what they should be doing, and then they start to manifest wonderful things because they popped out. All right, I'm sending you so much love. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and I will see you in the next one. All right, peace out.